Hey guys, the Curseback is here, and today I'll be going in a deeper look on why I scored the way I scored for each Forza Horizon game last video. Now, what I'm about to say right now is I want to make this strongly clear. If I make a video for about a different category, a different main category, and if I rush through the video, I'm going to make a video about this if I didn't explain myself enough. Or like if I didn't do it expandingly, like explain myself expandingly. You guys just tell me that in the comments down below. Don't be shy and do that, so that you can let me know if I did rush through the video, so that I can make another one of these. Now, why I'm making this video is because I feel like I didn't explain myself expandingly for last video. I said it in the comments down below when I pinged my own comment, and yeah, so I didn't feel like I did that, and I didn't do that well, so that's why I'm gonna be making this video. In addition to that, I want to get better at this whole review game thing, so now let's get on with this video. Also, I recommend you watch the first video before you watch this one, because you're not gonna understand what I'm saying about right now. So anyway, first I want to explain the individual categories that are within the main category being the map. So let's talk about scenery. Now, y'all should know that each one of these games have a location, a real life location, okay? I want to make that clear. Now I want you to imagine if the game didn't have a map at all, just envision your own map. Look at FH1 for example. That location of that game is Colorado, okay? Now, does the map of that game scream Colorado to you? For me, it does easily. That's why I gave it the score it deserves, a 4 out of 4. Well, I was going for scenery, or at least trying to go for scenery in the last video, is that when driving in the map, do you feel like you're in Colorado or just at Colorado? Wonder why I put this category on a scale of 0 to 4, then the other two being 0 to 3? It's because I feel like this is the most important thing for a map, at least for the Horizon series. For FH2, the location is Southern Europe, and the map of that game makes me feel like I'm in Southern Europe. For FH3, most locations make me feel I'm in Australia, while others feel like I'm at Australia. Yep, there's no problem here. Mind your own business. FH4's map feels like I'm in United Kingdom, but not as good as the first two games, although it's better than FH3's. What I mean by that is that the feeling of when driving in the map of FH4 is not as strong as FH1 and FH2. If you were driving those first two games, it's not as good as it doesn't give a strong feeling. And yeah, so that's why it's not as good as the first two games. And you guys probably are mixed up, like, wait, are you going for location accuracy or are you going for something else? And I'm not going for location accuracy. I don't care if the UK in FH4 looks as good as the UK in real life. I don't care about that. What I care about is that, do you feel like you're in the location or not? And if you don't, then it's gonna be a low score, and if you do, then it is gonna be a high score. That's what I feel like this should be. Now, diversity is all about creativity. How creative are the roads, main locations, secondary locations, and the other locations? FH1 does this pretty amazingly with this map. All the roads in that map are pretty good. There's no problems with any other roads. There's not gonna be one time where you're like, I don't like this road. There's every single road has a good feeling, not in the same feeling as scenery, or not the same feeling in nostalgia. There is like the feeling where, oh, this map, this road is pretty good, and all the locations are pretty good. There's some really good locations in this map, and that's what I like about this map. there's no problems. I don't have, when I played the game, I never had a problem where, oh, this map is not there, I mean, this road isn't that good, or this place isn't that good, you know. So yeah, that's why it's gonna stay the way it is with a 3 out of 3 score. So for FH2, diversity is gonna be on par with the first. What I mean by that is that it's good as the first, if not then close to being as good as the first, or maybe even better than the first, because there's a lot of locations in this map where you're not gonna have a problem with driving through it, because like in FH1, there is some good locations in this map, really good locations, and really good roads, and really good everything. Like, there's a lot of good things in this map. So I'm gonna leave it the way it is for a score 3 out of 3, and yeah. For FH3 now, diversity goes up to 2.5 out of 3. I think it was in 2.2 out of 3 last video. I think, but I'm not entirely sure. Right now it's 2.5 out of 3 because why? Because there is a lot of good things in this map. A lot of good things. There's good locations when it comes. There's a lot of good locations. Main locations I'm talking about. There's a lot of good secondary locations. There's a lot of good locations where like, oh, there's a small location, but it looks pretty good. There's a lot of good things that I don't have a problem with, but not all the places are creative. Not all of them. There is some unoriginality in some of the places, but what about the roads? The roads are, some roads are not that good. They're just okay, but they're not good. Last video I said, oh, the roads are not, some roads are bad because they're boring, and not really, to be honest. I think that what I said last video is not that correct, because when I see this, when I play the map in FH3, I would say most of the roads are okay. Not most of the roads, because there's roads in Surfer's Paradise, there's roads in the Outback, there's roads in some places like that are good, but there's other roads where you're like, oh, just driving through it, nothing else, just driving through it. So that's what I feel about that game. FH3 now is FH4, I mean FH4. There's a big mixed bag in it for FH4 for me. Big mixed bag. Why? Because there's a lot of places where you're gonna be like, this is a good place, and this is a good place, this is a good place, this is also a good place, but they're all the same places. Hear me out. If you look at the Edinburgh Castle, and if you look at the castle near the sand place, that's just one of the things I don't like. It's just the same to me. There's a lot of places where you're like, oh, that's just the same place, and it's just like a replica of another place I just went to. Like, there's some places where you're like, oh, this is the same, this is the same, this is also the same. But the roads in the game are not that bad. There's some roads that are good. There's some roads that are whatever. There's some roads that are bad, actually. There's some roads I don't like, to be honest. Some roads I don't like. And also, last video, the houses are good addition. They really set the mood of the game and the map. Yeah, so I like the addition to the houses. I love it. I like that they're there, and not just because, oh, you can't go inside of it. You can't go outside of it, you can't do anything, or whatever. At least they're there though, and you don't have to go to a festival. There's only one festival in the game. You don't have to go to there in order to search a big car and do, like what I said last video. Another thing is the seasons. There are seasons, but the seasons in the game are not that different from each other. Like if you look at summer and then you look at winter, there's some different seasons, completely different seasons. But when you compare summer to spring to fall and fall, you compare those three seasons together, not much of a difference. Just spring is more wet, FH2 season basically, and and fall is basically the main season in the game because cover car and it's all the leaves and stuff. But you know, it is what it is. All the seasons are not that different from each other, but they have a different feeling for each season. So for that being there, it's kind of good. But then all the other things that are not that good, that could have been better, it could have been more creative. It's just, there's a lot of mixed bag things. So that's why I'm putting it at 2.2 out of 3 as my new score for this. Okay, for freedom. Freedom is all about freedom. Easy, pretty easy things to, you know. Basically what I mean by this is that how much invisible walls in the game. Where can you go? Where can you not go? Where can you go to this? Can you go through between these two buildings, or can you go into this water, or maybe can you go over here, over in this lake? Can you go in it? Can you go on it? We don't know, but we can try and see if we can get the freedom to do that. That's what I mean by this. It's a no-brainer for pretty much everybody. For FH1, I put it down. It was at 1.5 out of 3. Now it's gonna be 1 out of 3. Now, look, hear me out. You cannot deny how bad the freedom in this game is. Now I know it's the first Forza Horizon game, and I know it's the first freedom that you would get in a Forza game ever. It was the first game, but there's not enough of it. Almost every single road you're gonna be in the game, you go and drive in the game, there's gonna be barriers, and over those barriers there's invisible walls. Like, there's not that much roads in the game, and there's not that much roads in the game obviously, but there's only one main place that I know that has an off-road space, but that's the only place I know. And there's rally roads, and yes, there's rally roads, but there's still barriers, and there's still a lot of invisible walls, and it's just not it. So that's why I put it down for 1 out of 3. Put it down to 1 out of 3. I know all the main locations are there too, and they're kind of open, but there's only the main locations. Other than that, you're gonna always be just stricken to an invisible wall, and that's all you can do. With FH2, they really improve on this. But there's a lot of trees in the game that are unbreakable. You can't go through them. Even if you go through the grass and 100,000 miles per hour, you can't go through them. Nothing you can do about that. What this game improves on is that there's a lot less invisible walls. I think a lot less. I'm not entirely sure, but I think there's less because there's more open spaces. There's more open spaces that you can just explore in the game. A lot more off-road spaces, a lot more things that you can explore. That's what I like. There's a lot of things that I didn't knew when I was playing. I didn't usually play the game, and when I play the game now, I was discovering these places, like all these on on discovery places. Like I was driving with this one guy. It showed me all these places I didn't even know about, and like I didn't even know you can go through it. And there is some places where there's some barriers that you just can't go through, like those brick walls. But sometimes you can just go over it and there's no invisible wall. But it's not with that with every single wall that you see. Not every single wall, not every single barrier you see is gonna have an invisible wall over it, but most of them are gonna have an invisible wall over it. And yeah, and it proves this. But the trees, there's so many trees that you just can't get through. Only the little trees that are growing, like the little trees that are growing, you can go through them. But the other trees, you just can't. And there's like a fight going on with everything. There's like it's just a kind of a mixed bag a little bit, but overall I think it's gonna be good. I think it's no, I believe it's good. It's good. 2 out of 3. Yeah. For FH3, improves on this massively with its map. There's a lot of places. There's actually a lot less invisible walls. There's a lot less. There's actually there's a few invisible walls left. A few, and it's only in Surfer's Paradise with all the water and stuff. Like there's some water spaces that you can't get through in FH3. A lot of water spaces you can't get through, and that's just the truth. Like all the water you see in Surfer's Paradise, you can't get to it. Yeah, so they might have invisible walls over it. I don't know. They might, but I know this. I know there's an invisible wall somewhere because I looked where the lake was going through Surfer's Paradise all the way down to, it was just extending all the way through the map. And when I checked when Surfer's Paradise started, where the lake started, where the lake was still extending, I saw that there was an invisible wall there, and I was actually shocked because I thought there was no invisibles in the game at all. So I played the game again. So yeah, there's a few invisible walls left, but you know, there's a lot of places where it really proves on this, because there's a lot of places you can get to. Pretty much the whole map you can almost get to it. Just these lakes and these mini lakes and these lakes that you just can't get through, and other than that, you can go through almost anywhere in the map. So that's why it is a 2.7 out of 3 for the freedom of this map. For FH4 now, the freedom is instantly a 3 out of 3. Instantly. Because you can literally go anywhere you want to go in the map. There's no barriers. At least I didn't count any barriers when I played the game. Yeah, you can go anywhere you like. Anywhere. The big lake that you see in the big lake in the map, you can get to it, but you just go through it. But that's just because you're in a car, so you can't. This isn't realistic. So you just, once it becomes winter, then it can be frozen and you can go on it. So that's a good thing that I can see. That I can tell you from that. So anyway, yeah, that's the official scores for every game now. I changed a lot from last video. I changed a lot. But yeah, so that's the scores right now. Scores right now officially. Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up with today's video. Next video is gonna be a main category that I'm gonna be talking about about these 4 games, which is the best. You guys are not gonna know which main category it is. I told one person, but that person is, I didn't tell him that's gonna be confirmed. I might be doing, if I told him that, oh, this is gonna be, I'm gonna be doing story progression, nope. I'm just gonna yoink that from you. I'm just gonna yoink your feelings of wanting. Oh, I can't wait for that, and just switch it up to another main category. So I just switch it up a little bit. You guys are never gonna know what make the next one is. Just gonna know that I'm gonna be making another part, and that's all. So anyways, that's it. Bye guys.